Welcome to Strategize Your Business Online. This is the live designed for entrepreneurs like yourself who are looking for a dose of business inspo and ideas to grow your business in the online space. My name is Dee Boswell-Buck, and I am the founder behind Boswell-Buck Creative Consulting. And what we do is we help you to connect with your dream clients in the online space with strategy. So, thank you everybody for being here on this live. This is our first live since 2024. So, yes, we were here just the other day, and we have an amazing guest. And the topic is work permits and what you need to know when hiring. Now, first, some housekeeping. We are streaming on LinkedIn as always, and recently we began to stream on Facebook as well. So, whatever platform you are watching this on, and a little bit later it will be uploaded to my YouTube channel at D Boswell Buck. But whatever platform you are watching this on, I would love to know the usual. What is your name? What is the name of your business? Outside of the platform that we are on right now, where else can we find you on social media? And please share in the comments your elevator pitch. Like, what is it that you do that you are so passionate about that you do to help your dream clients? Now, I'm going to go right ahead and I am going to read the bio of my guest here, and her name is Jenny, but I'm going to read the bio first. Now, after completing her own immigration to Canada, Jenny Rokhline knows all too well how confusing and frustrating the immigration process can become. As such, in her practice, she strives to minimize the stress and uncertainty for her clients and ensure that they are provided with all the necessary information to ease the process and safely navigate the complicated web of Canadian immigration. Jenny holds a Bachelor of Arts from Ben Gurion University of the Negev, Israel. She obtained her Juris Doctor degree from Osgoode Hall Law School and was admitted to practice law in Ontario. Since starting law school, Jenny planned to specialize in immigration and refugee law. Throughout her school career, she remained true to her aspirations. As a law student, she sought and received excellent training during her employment with a number of influential immigration law firms in Toronto. In addition, she successfully completed a clinical placement with Refugee Law Office in Ontario, where she learned ways and techniques of preparing refugee claims. During her free time, Jenny enjoys indoor rock climbing. While in no way a maven, she will be happy to tell you more about this sport and give helpful tips about it should you be inclined to ask. And Jenny can also assist clients in Russian and Hebrew. Jenny, thank you so much for saying yes to being on Strategize Your Business Online. How are you today?
Heidi, thank you. I'm very well. And yes, that bio is all true. It was interesting to hear someone actually talking the talking this through, and I'm like, yeah, that is me. So thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. You have an amazing background. And, I see the word aspiration. So it's something that you truly love to do. And I'm just going to throw myself in there for a quick second. Like rock climbing, my arms, like I can lift weights, but outside of that, spaghetti arms. I am not a good rock climber.
Yeah, you see, this is a common misconception that rock climbing is a lot about arms. It's actually more about legs.
Ooh.
And you use your arms. I mean, yes, you do use your arms, obviously, but it's all about the leg positions. So, like maybe one day we can go to a rock climbing gym and I can show you all of
That would be great. And please keep the laughter to yourself when we go. That sounds amazing.
that.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I know I read this incredibly wonderful bio about you, but I was wondering, Jenny, if we could start off and you can tell me about your journey. Like what led you to practicing immigration law?
That's a really good question. I think it should start really what led me to first go to law school. I was one of those people who never dreamed of being a lawyer. It wasn't my lifelong goal when I was younger. I wanted to be a tour guide. I really
Mm.
wanted to be like a tour guide or a museum guide. This was really what I wanted to do. But after immigrating to Canada, after completing my undergrad, I kind of like had various jobs, and in one of the jobs when I was admin assistant in a law firm, I suddenly realized that there's like a lot of people who are looking for a more personal type of representation, and that they are trying to go from firm to firm and are not able to find the right assistance. And then I felt like I really like it. I really like not just helping people, but also be able to help by kind of like getting that one case from case law and saying like, by the way, what you're doing is not right. So I
Mm.
went into law school, and I think it was the second or yes, I think it was the second semester of first year when I started learning more about immigration. Me and my classmate, we started an immigration blog, and that kind of really led me to deepening my knowledge in immigration and refugee law at the same time. And just how somehow happened that immigration was an aspiration. As you read in my resume, I did my own immigration, and knowing what I know now, I would have never done my own immigration because I was just, in a way, very lucky because my application was pretty straightforward. But the errors that I could have committed when I did my immigration could have had such a detrimental effects on my future. So never, like every time, like when I think about it, like, oh my God, I was so stupid. Why did I do it on my own? I should not have done this on my own. So after completing the education at Osgood, they started the 10-month practice that is mandatory for lawyers in Ontario, and I articled at the immigration law firm. So and basically that's what led me to then starting my own firm.
Interesting. Now, I would like to know, like, just to go back a little bit while you were taking your course and, just about around that time before you started the blog. So, was one part of your law course to learn about immigration, and then that's how you got introduced to it?
So I knew a bit of immigration when I was an admin assistant because the
Mhm.
law firm was assisting with immigration. But the course itself, I had an amazing professor. Professor Sean Rehag is one of the prominent leaders in refugee law in particular. And just the way he was presenting the class, I felt passionate and compassionate at the same time for this topic that at first I wanted to learn more and I wanted to read more, and I started following the news and I signed up for various updates related to immigration. So this is kind of like it was a step-by-step process. Definitely, it's not like I woke up one day and said like, immigration sounds cool. So it was a process, but the more I took interest in that, and I started meeting people within law school that were also very interested in this, and kind of like it grew. It grew so well that all these individuals that I met first to second year of law school, after we graduated, we all started immigration or refugee law practices, either
Mm.
in-house or on our own. And we created a nonprofit organization for young immigration and refugee lawyers to teach them and help them kind of like build their businesses and build their practices. And it's just like 15 of us, like that we started. And the group right now, I think it has 1,000 members,
Wow, that's
thousands
amazing.
members. Yeah, so the group is really good in the sense that it's helping young and new immigration refugee lawyers to learn what we already learned as we were building our practices.
Right. That is fantastic. And then that blog that you and your classmates started, is that blog still around?
So the
Are you
blog
still
was
adding
actually
to it?
called, Yes, the blog was actually called Legally Canadian. That was the blog that we started. And it was just basically a summary of the news, sometimes summary of case law. And I always tell new lawyers who are looking for a job that this blog landed every student legal job for me, and also my articling job, because well, you have to keep in mind that was 10 years ago. So that was relatively new and kind of cool for a lawyer or aspiring lawyer to have a blog. So all the employers who saw my resume when I was saying that I have this blog, go and read it, they were very impressed. So they would call me for an interview. So that was like a really good thing that happened for us, for me and my classmate. And as we finished law school, so that blog ultimately kind of like turned into a law firm. So law firm is now Legally Canadian. And some of the blog posts can be found online, but I don't really put it in a blog format anymore.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, how long have you had your company, your law firm, Legally Canadian for?
So we're starting, this is going to be our ninth year.
Ooh.
Yes, so we've been around for a while. So yeah, so 9 year of Legally Canadian as a law firm, and it started with me alone. Then I had a new person join me, Leo, who joined me, I believe, on the second year. He was also my classmate from
Mhm.
law school. After a few years, we also had Tatiana join us, which was an amazing addition to the team. And a year ago, Ksenia joined us. So we have 4 lawyers now, and frankly, the best team I could have ever imagined.
Awesome. I mean, I follow you on social media, so I will talk about that, but it does look like an amazing team. What made you decide to not work for a law firm, but to have your own firm instead?
So this is actually, in a way, um, I will tell you a story, which happened to me throughout one of my employments. When I was in law school and I was graduating from law school, I already had a child. So I was also a mom during that time, which to parents amongst us, you do realize that sometimes you have to juggle 2 or 3 things at the same time. And when the kids get sick, you have to stay home with them most of the time. And when your employer is not supportive of that, you kind of forced in the situation that you have to decide, is it my job or is it my child? And I think at some point throughout my short career as an employee, I realized that it is going to be my child that will take the priority. So I will build my own firm and will work around the schedule that works for me and my child, but also of course works for my client. So Legally Canadian started as a virtual firm from the very first day. We do have a physical location where we sometimes can see clients, but overall, it's been 9 years of virtual law firm where you can email me, you can video call me, all of that stuff. But if my child is sick, I don't need to go and get the permission from my boss. I'm going to say, okay, guys, and I'll take to my team that today is off. Please handle this, this, and that, and it works. It works for me. I'm happy about this decision because it removes a lot of the stress. 2 years ago, I had a set of twins, so of course, which also made it a bit harder in terms of running your practice. But because I have such an amazing team of lawyers that work for me, we managed for we managed to handle it for a few months before I came back from the mat leave. And once again, so it works. I think I'm capable to serve my clients to the best of my ability, but at the same time, I don't sacrifice my family.
I absolutely love that. And, I think about all of that as well. I have a daughter. She is a preteen, or as I like to playfully say, she is 11 going on 31.
Mm,
And, whenever September comes and we get that list of all the PA days, immediately on that very first day, I go through it and I block off my calendar. And like that day alone, well, not only is it joyful because it's the first day of school, but it's quite joyful that I can block all of those days off and not have to negotiate with my boss or have to ask like my coworkers like, hey, would you like to do a switch? Like it's just those little pieces of freedom. And of course, if she's not feeling well, then I can unapologetically take that time off. So that's great that you've got a business that will let you to enjoy your life. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think parents among us in particular um, do realize sometimes that, you either like taking part-time jobs, or you'll have to start running your own business, or you'll have to find help if you don't want to start your own business. Like you need a help
Mhm.
who'll stay with your child. Um, so in a way it worked for me because just that happened. I made this decision, and so far, 9 years in, I'm not regretting it.
That's amazing. So you are pretty cutting edge because you talked about 9 years ago the business started, and then it was mainly virtual. And I think like when a lot of people are hearing virtual, they're thinking like I think for instance being a business owner getting on Zoom in 2018, and then of course there was a lot of Zoom in 2020, etc. um, but I think a lot of businesses they learned to be virtual during the pandemic. So
Mhm.
doing that, did you find that maybe some of your clients had a kind of a hard time wrapping their mind around it? Like, were they like, I'd like to come into your office and see you?
Mhm. Yes, so that was definitely an issue when we started, because many of us think if you have a lawyer, that you go to their office and you see it. And we see that on TV, we see it in
Yeah.
every shows, like this is how we imagine. Um, so for me, first of all, I never wanted to be a walk-in firm, because it's useful if you are located, let's say, downtown. My office is not downtown. My office is by the airport,
Mhm.
Toronto airport. So there's not much foot traffic, first of all. Second of all, I wanted to be able, if a person approaches me, to actually have time to look at their question and be prepared. So that's why I implemented inquiries. You send me inquiries, I get about 20 inquiries per day with various questions, and I take time. If you walk in, to me at least, when you walk in, you have to get a lawyer who just like suddenly need to switch content and answer your question. You're still paying money, but I'm not necessarily convinced that I gave the full answer, because I just didn't have time to address their particular question. So in 2015, when we started, yes, a lot of like, okay, I want to come in, and it was most of the time, no, I'm sorry, we don't do in-person consultations, and this is a way for us also to filter through. So if an individual doesn't feel comfortable working remotely, then this is just not our client. There's plenty of other lawyers who will offer you an in-person meeting. I don't think I'm missing anything out in terms of talking the way I talk to you right now. I can ask you the same questions. You can ask me follow-up questions and I can answer them. But you can also do it from Toronto. You can do it from Ottawa. I have people from Newfoundland who call in and I can answer, because the area of law that I practice, immigration, is a federal law. So it doesn't really limit me to just Ontario and the residents of Ontario. I can assist people anywhere in the country and, of course, abroad.
So you answered the question before I even asked it because I was like, oh, I'm also going to ask her if she works with clients across Canada, and there you go. So that's all. That's great. Fantastic.
Yes, so Canada, and of course, like, because it's immigration and refugees, so individuals abroad are also considering coming here. So we set up, and our calendar on the website is set up to your time.
Right.
So when you log in from, I don't know, Singapore, so you will see very different times than if you log in from Mississauga, but they're going to be your times that are available throughout our working day.
Right. Okay. Well, we're here to one of the main topics that we're here to speak about is about work permits and what
Mhm.
people need to know. And I thought that this was, I'm sure it's very timely always. I just think about, as I get ready for my day and I'm listening to the news and they talk about the fact that, for instance, Canada is going to be opening up like more opportunity for immigrants to come into the country. And then sometimes they'll mention based on like work, like the types
Mhm.
of work that is available. And then I was scrolling one day, maybe on LinkedIn, and I think that there was a post there that was talking about a myth. I don't know if it was something to the effect of like, oh, well, my workplace, the place that I'll be working for, filled out this paperwork. Do I assume that it's correct? Right. And I was like, oh,
Yes.
yeah, I'm sure that there's a lot of assumptions that happen. So I wanted to know, like, with regards to employers, if they want to bring someone in, what would you say are the two top things that they should consider?
Okay. So the top two things that they have to consider is, do they have time and do they meet the requirements? And I'll talk about the time first. Most of those applications that allow you to bring a foreign talent, a person on a work permit, take time right now, mainly because of COVID. I mean, it's not like it was great prior to COVID, but the timelines have extended. Let's call it. Let's use the nice word. The timelines have extended a bit, especially for specific applications. So I think the employers need to understand there's a wide array of talent that they can bring, and doesn't have these people don't have to be necessarily outside of Canada. So I'll give you an example. So we have international students here. Most of the international students who completed the proper educational institutions can apply for a work permit. That work permit is an open work permit, meaning that they can work for anyone. So if you found an applicant who is here on an open work permit and that student, you can hire them right away. You don't need to file any paperwork. Like, you as an employer don't need to file any paperwork. The same goes to spouses of those students. If they are here, most likely they are on an open work permit here as well. So it's the same thing. They can come and work for you tomorrow because their work permit allows them to work for you. As an employer, you just have to estimate, do I need this individual who is here right now? Or do I want to put in a little bit more time, energy, and money to bring
Mm,
someone from overseas? So, so the fastest one is to hire someone who is here on an open work permit. Can you ask the applicant at the interview, what's your immigration status? Yes, you can, because you need to know what other steps you need to take in to ensure that you're also not violating any immigration law by hiring people who are without a status or who are not authorized to work for you. So that would be the first thing. So open work permit is the first person that you can actually consider hiring. The next set of individuals is people who either have from a country that Canada has an agreement with. There's a long list of those countries. The
mm,
program is called International Experience Canada. And this is a reciprocal agreements between Canada and those countries where if you have a job offer, you can apply and you can come with a work permit that will be valid for 1 year, and you can employ this individual for 1 year. Their work permit will be a closed work permit, meaning that they can only work for you. If they want to change, they'll have to go through a separate process to change an employer.
I see.
When I say you need to have time is mainly when I talk about the application process that is called labor market impact assessment. Very wordy, but it's ultimately an LMIA. And an LMIA is an employer application to the Ministry of Employment asking them to authorize a Canadian employer to hire a foreign national. So it's a preliminary step. So you and I if we want to hire someone from overseas, we can just take a look. Okay, I want to hire them. Can come and get a work permit. You and I, we first need to get a permission to hire a foreign national, and only once this permission is granted, the foreign national can apply for a work permit.
Okay. All right. I wrote this all down, most of it. So, labor market impact assessments.
Yes,
Okay.
this is the bigger, this is the lengthier process. Why it works best for some firms is because it's very niche hiring. So let's say you have a marketing agency, right? And you are looking for an individual who will assist you with content creation. For example, just giving you an example. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know about you. I have used various programs, various softwares that allow you to hire someone on a contract basis, such as like Fiverr or Deal, or you hire or you work one of those. But these individuals work for me like for a specific project and they're done, right? I don't need to bring them here. I can send them work. But if the individual that you're hiring for your content creation also requires this individual to be here physically, because I don't know, you want to send them on site somewhere, like depending on what this, or it's very important because you're handling some very sensitive information that you want the individual to be in your office or be in Canada for whatever reason. Like this is the reason you explain in the LMIA application. So you will file that application and you will have to show to the Ministry of Education that A, you tried to find someone local and you couldn't. If
Mm.
you found someone local, why they didn't fit your requirements, and why this individual that you're bringing will not only steal the job from Canadian or permanent resident, but actually will enhance and enrich your business and subsequently our Canadian society. So this is what you do in an LMIA application.
Okay. No, that's very interesting. It's yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for explaining that. And it ties I also wanted to speak about it because I was looking at your January 1st post. So I find the social media content, I find the online presence for Legally Canadian to be very approachable. And that's something that really stood out to me. I mean, I was born here. My parents are from Jamaica, and I think that when we often often when people hear the word immigration, sometimes it can feel a little negative, and I'm going to explain how. So we hear about like how hard it might be to travel and or move from one country to another. Like we have that assumption. The media and television doesn't help. Like you're watching a movie and you'll see the very hard struggle, and it might be a great, like a very good like adaptation of a story, but we're hit often with those stories. And then of course, I just think about hearing like those stories that my mom would tell me about adjusting and living in a new country. So that's why it really stood out to me about how approachable your online presence is. And your January 1st post, I think the post said like now, or this is why you should immigrate to Canada in 2024, right? And it came from a place of you're welcome, and you know what, like this is something that you should think of, like it is possible, right? Yeah.
Yes. I think first of all that was always my goal when I was setting up this company, that I wanted to be a law firm that is transparent, relatable, and approachable. And
Yeah.
I've been working hard at being that. I don't want you to have a wall between us that I'm a lawyer and I know what's best for you, and you're just, like listen and do what I tell you. So this is not my approach. We work with our clients in collaborative way because it's your life. You're entrusting me in a way, your life and your future. So we need to work on this together. So I understand your goals. When we talk about immigration in general, so I have lived So I was born in Russia, so I'm a Russian citizen by birth, but I immigrated to Israel when I was 17. So that was a very challenging part because I was leaving everything and everyone behind. And I tried to build my life in Israel, and then I moved to Canada for my law school already, and then after that I moved to the US. And even though US and Canada we at least share the language, it was still a different experience because US is very different than Canada. Like I think we'll have to agree, even though we're neighbors, we share language,
Yeah.
we share some history. At the end of the day, it's still an adjustment. But if we talk about immigration, and I would like to divide immigration and refugee relocation because it's a different mindset for most people. When you're a refugee or if you're forced to relocate, it's something on an emotional level that is much harder to adjust here, just because you never wanted, let's say, you never planned to relocate here, but you had to save your life. So, but when we talk about immigrants, individuals who are approaching immigration as a thoughtful step, then it's still hard, of course, because you're changing your life. But I think you have to understand that in most cases, you're changing your life for the better. It's probably going to be hard. Actually, it's absolutely going to be hard in the beginning. It's the cultural adjustment, it's understanding how systems work here. Of course, we're not an ideal country. We all have our like we have some serious cons that you either accept or not accept, or you fight for improving. But immigration is possible. Immigration is easier when you're younger to Canada, just because our system right now is set for individuals who are young and single, just just the way it works right now. Once you hit 35, 40, your immigration path slightly changes. It's going to be harder to get here and you have to overcome a few hurdles, but it's still possible. But coming in here, and I know your mom probably can share this with you. I don't know the circumstances that made them come here, but coming here with kind of this, like, this is a perfect place in the world, and then suddenly being hit with the realization, it happens to all of us that there's a
Yeah.
honeymoon period, and then like, oh. But if you make a conscious decision to relocate here, I think you will find a way of not just living here, not definitely not just surviving here, but actually building your life and future, which in most cases going to be better than you had it before.
Yeah. Now, earlier you mentioned that you get about 20 inquiries a day. I wanted to know, like, are some of those inquiries from outside of Canada?
Yes, so actually majority of them are from outside of Canada. And because we don't really specialize in a field within the immigration law, so I get a wide array of questions. Some of them would be how do I come as a visitor? The other one, how do I find an employer? Which I don't offer employment search services.
Mm.
Some of them would be I was refused or I was banned from Canada. What do I do? From the in Canada inquiries, they come less because they can call me. And I think that some people just prefer to call. The inquiries, yes, they're from outside, very different. And I always say that, okay, it's going to take me time. It's going to take me a little bit time to respond to. So you'll have the list of what your options are.
Right. And then when they do find you, so many people from outside of Canada, they find you. How would you say, how are they finding you? Like, are they putting certain keywords? And if they are using keywords, like what would you say, like, are like 3 keywords that they put into Google? Or are they doing a search on Instagram? People are quite savvy and they are looking up things. So I'm curious, like, how are they finding you?
Hmm. So one of the most expensive Google search words for Google Ads is immigration lawyer.
Hmm.
So And I tried when I was when I was establishing and figuring out what will be my marketing strategy, I realized that I will just not, as a small firm, I will not be able to beat the big corporations that can actually spend a lot of money per click. So if we look at how people finding me, uh, Google search is still my top source. Um, Prior to that, I also like ran a few Facebook groups for specific ethnical groups that wanted to immigrate. So that was a second one. And I have an amazing person who runs my Facebook and Instagram who helps me to put content together. She's great. So people do come to me through Instagram and Facebook, and it's very interesting that we put the same content on both, but the the demographics are very different. So, for example, on Instagram, my biggest following is from women, and on Facebook, my biggest following is from for men.
Wow.
So yes, my latest research that I am investing a lot of time is my LinkedIn, and this one I do it fully on my own. This is all like without any assistance, other than this amazing course that I took for LinkedIn for lawyers. Was the best investment of my time and money. So LinkedIn is mostly like for a different type of individuals. That's for employers who are planning to hire foreign nationals and skilled workers, mainly engineers and entrepreneurs who want to come to Canada.
I love the fact that you shared some of those insights. What I do know is that often, sometimes business owners aren't checking that back end. They're just like showing up on social media. But and since you led into marketing, my question to you is, what is your favorite social media platform?
So at this point, it's definitely LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I find it to be more refined, and the opportunity to be exposed not just to people who love dogs and put photos of their dogs as it is on Instagram, but actually get more of an insight in what they do and see how they show up on that platform. Because well, you probably will agree with me that it's very different in the type of content that is being put there and the type of content that the algorithm will actually show and promote.
Right. Yeah, I really enjoy, you have some really great questions. They're thought provoking, and there's a little bit of humor there. And and I'm just speaking about on LinkedIn, for instance, and I wanted to say that because often people are like, oh, LinkedIn is filled with robotic, stuffy people. And I don't get that at all. I really enjoy what it is that you're putting out there. And it's funny that you mentioned about sharing about dogs, like, because I on Instagram last night, I found such a funny reel of a dog acting as though it was a person on Zoom that missed the question. And I shared it in my so I shared it in my stories, and I shared it in my stories last night. And even when I'm watching it this morning, I am laughing like crazy, but I have no intentions of sharing it here on LinkedIn. So it's absolutely true. Like in terms of social media, or even like comparing it with your lifestyle, like how you would show up, say, at a workplace is different than how you would show up if you're going to be going out with friends. And that's just how it works. Yeah.
So what is your favorite platform then?
Ooh, my favorite platform is LinkedIn. And that's because it introduced me to social media management and digital marketing. I was on maternity leave, and I had this mom group that moved into from 5 moms into 400. And before I went back to work, I just put in all of my skills, and I thought LinkedIn was quite boring. And I put it in there. I put in my skills that I did while I was on maternity leave. And then LinkedIn showed me about these jobs in marketing. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I said to my husband, people get paid to post stuff. And that's all, because that's all I knew. And then after that, it just led me to going back to school and things like that. And here I am today. And in my journey, I've learned that LinkedIn is not the LinkedIn that everybody feels that it is.
Hmm.
So I just love the platform and the conversation on the platform. Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Thank you for
Okay. So
having
we're in sync here. Yes.
me. Yeah. Well, before we go, I have one and a half. So, Jenny, I would love to know, like, what would you say is the number one top feeling that your clients walk away with after working with you and your team at Legally Canadian?
So I have two words which will depend really on how far along they go with us. So, and one of them that I value the most because you can just talk with me and go and hire someone else is clarity. I want you to leave a consultation or a meeting with me without all the complicated legal terms. I want you to understand what is the step by step process, because if I throw a lot of legalese on you, I'll confuse you and you will leave confused and not knowing what to do. So clarity is my first goal. I don't want to BS you and tell you, like, like, if you don't do that, or like, I'll give you this word and then like hire me. Otherwise, it's all going to hell. No. So clarity is the very first and the most important thing that I want you to live with after meeting with me. Maybe for 45 minutes, maybe 5 times we met, depending on it is. And the second word, it would be, I think it's satisfaction. And satisfaction, not just because I don't win all the cases, right? It would be very presumptuous of me to say like, oh, we like 100% success. I don't win all the cases, but I, even if we lose, I want you to understand that and feel that we did everything possible. Justice wasn't served. It is not served all the time, unfortunately. But I want you to leave our office, our firm, our experience satisfied that we put our best foot forward and we fought for you. And if anyone has time, just for fun of it, to look through our reviews on Google, like some of the people do say like, we didn't get it, but, and I really like when people on social media recommend me. Of course, as a lawyer, I cannot tell out loud that yes, that person was my client unless they authorize me to do it. But I can see my past clients for whom we lost, and they write to say like, Jenny and her firm are the best one, and it's an amazing feeling knowing that, okay, at least I definitely showed you that everything possible was done. Unfortunately, we didn't succeed.
Yeah. So clarity and satisfaction. And yes, I looked at your Google reviews and they are out of this world. They are
You're
amazing.
welcome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I mean, I really like my clients. Of course, once again, there are unhappy individuals, but so far they haven't been unhappy enough to leave a review. So maybe, like maybe they're not that unhappy that they felt that they want to leave a bad review. But either way, yes, I think clarity has to be very important in every legal field in particular, because it's often very confusing. And I'm a lawyer. I went to the real estate lawyer and I got so confused that I felt like, oh, if I can't understand this, and I took real estate in law school, I should
Mhm.
understand some of the things. So think about individuals who don't have experience with law. How would they feel when I just throw complicated, confusing statements at them? I think it's not fair.
Right. Thank you for that. So before we go, I would love to know, and for our audience to know, where are the best places that they can find you online? And maybe if you can share those handles, if social media is going to be one of those places.
Yeah, so I'm currently the most active on my LinkedIn. I am there every day. So yes, so just looking up under Jenny Rokhline. So far, as far as I know, I'm the only one there with this handle. So this is where you can find me, when you can text me, and I will respond. The other platform, it would be probably just our website, legallycanadian.com. That's when you can actually send your inquiry and it will land in my inbox and I will respond to that. For Facebook and Instagram, it's a good way to contact me, but it's probably going to take me a little longer to get back to you just because I'm not always on those platforms. I'm not as often on those platforms as I am on my email or on my LinkedIn.
Right. Okay. So LinkedIn for the best response and your website as well, which what I love about your website is right away you've got this box here that somebody can put in a question. Just
Yes.
love everything that you're doing there online. So, Jenny, I want to thank you again for being a guest on our first episode of Strategize Your Business Online for 2024. And everyone, if you are watching the replay, whatever platform you're watching it on, feel free to leave your questions. Again, if you're a business owner, let us know the name of your business, what it is that you do, and how it is that you help your amazing clients. And I think I forgot to mention the name of your business as well. And we will be back next week with another episode of Strategize Your Business Online. And in the meantime, feel free to visit my YouTube channel at the Boswell-Buck, and you will find past episodes of the show as well. So thank you everybody for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you.